Welcome everyone to the Blueprint for Peace for Humanity, Day 14. This is the morning session for Monday, July 24th, 2017. This is a production of the Keshe Foundation, Spaceship Institute. And I believe we have Mr. Keshe with us today, ready to begin this week's activities. Hello, Mr. Keshe. Are you available there?
Good morning,
Hello.
Good day to you as usual. Can you hear me?
Yes, hello, yes.
Hi, good day to you as usual, wherever you listen to these knowledge seekers. This week we thought a forceful way to let people understand more about peace. And a lot of you will be sending a lot of requests to world leaders and ambassadors to respond to the visit to sign the peace treaty. We have received some.
Sorry, Mr. Keshe, the microphone's not very good right now. It's kind of weak. I'm wondering if
can you
get
hear
a better
me now?
Connection.
Is it a better connection?
Yeah, it's a little better there now. It's more clear. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. So what we try to do this week is to expand on your knowledge what creates peace. While you're writing to the world leaders and the ambassadors to attend the signing of the peace treaty or peace for the nations, as we said, we do not expect any at this moment to sign. I'll explain the reason next week. I explained the reason in depth to the Earth Council last night in the meeting of last night. And everything we do is according to what we expected to do. Diplomacy needs a lot of intelligence and diplomacy needs a lot of patience. We are not in political arena, we're in the diplomacy arena, which means we deal within the inside of the system, within the structure of the intergovernmental connection, is not internal government connection. Diplomacy of peace is a beautiful way to work if you know how to handle it. We are on target, we are exactly where we want to be. As of today, we have not received any response from the Israeli intelligence respect clearance of President Rouhani to Israel. We do not expect any response, but we have to let themselves down with most of the time with you to discuss in what you're doing, what you've done, and what is done. And in a way, this week is just communication center where you tell us where you have sent it, what is the response, your Sun Life program. I'm at the moment traveling, so I'll go from one meeting to another, and as I come out, I'll join you and I'll listen. This week, I don't want to push in any way to bring new dimensions, but in a couple of occasions this week, we open the meaning of the peace. The peace has to be for everyone. The peace does not go by the nations. The peace goes by the house. The peace goes by children. Peace goes how we see human beings treat each other in a peaceful way, and how we establish, next week we announce a new way to eradicate the basis of the what is the principal base for lack of peace. I'll explain this as we come to it. There's a lot happening in the background. We have to do it this way because this is the way the progress will come. As you understand, I have given you a lot of hints, a lot of information over the past months, for past years. Now we see how we bring it together. We show you and we explain step by step. As I said, I went to Vatican. As I said, I went to the Iranian embassy. As I said, we are pushing for other world leaders to know it's happening. We are not forcing that they have to join. This is important for us, that we keep the path totally and fully open. No threatening, no cajoling. We just inform as many as possible, and it's for them to understand to take the path of peace. We copy it, we deliver it, and then we'll see what comes out of it and how people will do it. Can you print a copy of the piece program too. So this is important for us that we represent, we deliver, and we understand what we are representing and what we are delivering. Peace at this stage, the way we see it, the way we plan it, the way it's been done is more or less on target for us. Exactly where we want to be, exactly where we want it to be, and we are not changing anything. This might shock a lot of you. This might be a bit strange how this thing is getting done, but this is the only way to do it. This is the only way which we can push, we can take this position further, understanding the totality, and in understanding the totality, being able to deliver exactly the way we want. Remember one thing in the background, always I explained. We are looking for one nation. We are looking and we are enforcing one nation policy. One race, one nation, one planet. If you have this in mind and understand this, then you understand how the progress is going to be in the next couple of weeks. How we are going to turn the situation in the way that we wanted, we needed, and how we planned it. Doesn't matter what other people say. What we planned, what we are executing is the most important thing. There is a number of letters in different languages has been translated and been sent in. If it's been translated by members of the Earth Council, publish it straight away, and the others can download it. A number of languages has been translated to. Large number of members of the Universal Council have translated the paper in their language according to their understanding of their language and in English. Translate it, accept it, and publish it, and let other people download it. This is how we work. We trust in each other's work, and we trust what we do is correct. It is very important to understand one position, and that is the whole change this time is not coming by profits and profitarian. It comes by change in science and knowledge to understand more. It comes by understanding totality of what the new knowledge and the science is going to do for us. As I said to Arman, and a few times we mentioned it, we are not telling you how many times to bend and which Mecca to pray with or which Jerusalem to go and bang your head against the wall. We teach you the essence of the truth about the science of creation. And then this is for each man according to his intelligence to develop, to understand, and to increase the knowledge of himself and the others around him. That's the only thing we are doing. We call ourselves Messiah because we are Messiahs of knowledge. The knowledge brings wisdom, and wisdom brings peace to man. And this is what we are doing. In understanding the totality, we are becoming wiser. We cannot be lied to. We cannot be cheated by. We cannot be told there is something which is not there and magic show. In this process, by being the messengers of science, we clearly understand what we are talking about and what is to be done. And as more and more people understand the science, then they understand the truth about the creation. There is no magic. For 2000 years, everybody had a magic. Christ raised the dead. But now you understand, every man has that capability. Now that you understand, it's the soul of the man you elevate, that through the soul, through the function of the soul, you elevate the physicality. Now you understand, scientifically, we have shown you where the science is, where the soul of the man is, how he operates. You have seen parallels in your reactors, you have seen parallels in the star formations, you've seen parallels in the stars, galaxies, and universes. So no one can cheat no one. The only people who have been trying to cheat humanity are those who is just 2 or 3 of them, and we'll sort them out very soon. I promise you, I'll clear Mr. Lawrenson's out very soon. We will let you know the truth about him in a very short while. Do not be shocked, but I chose the time and I deliver. Then you can understand what is going on, and you can understand why these people are trying to keep the tradition of the past, because they make a lot of money out of it. They have made a lot of money out of it over centuries. In time to come, we let these people do whatever they like, not out of our weakness, but we allow them to take us where we want to go, even though they deceive everybody else. In the coming days, you will see, we'll show you evidence, and we'll bring you governmental evidence to show how Mr. Lawrenson has been in very nasty jobs. And it's for you lot to let him praise himself. We pray for his soul, we elevate his soul. But don't forget, we need these people to be able to deliver what we are here for. Then we see how correct we are, how correct we've been, and how the deception of these people has created mayhem for themselves, and it leads to a lot of people who are wavering in their soul to start judging themselves. We need, these are what we call angels of dark, which with the darkness, they lead to enlightenment of the soul of those who are looking for the truth, the understanding. And then we understand how us as being have to work. We will put, because this what we started as part of the peace program, we proved truth about nations, that how certain nations work, how operate. And we do not give theoretical, we give you evidences. And then we say why we cannot rely on the governments to sign a peace treaty. Because if we let them do the way they are now, it's another channel of more abuse of the souls in the coming time. As I said, I have planned this very carefully, and I'll execute it very carefully. And at the end, what will be the outcome is what we all are here. One nation, one race, one planet, one love, one existence, and through it we all exist. To a lot of you, I kept this to the last week, and next week it'll be one after another new understanding, new information, new systems that we set up. The target of being one nation means to look after the ones who have been left behind. The ones who are on the top will run, and they've been running and trying to keep the position. The position with the Keshe Foundation and our structure is very simple. We set and will show how we set up the non-monetary situation, the banking system. We will explain how we support the people who need to be brought up and has been left behind by society. We left behind by society because of the greed of the man. The new banking system which I announced will operate through all the Keshe Foundation manufacturings. You'll understand when we explain. We set up, we planned it out that by the time we come to next week, when we establish a one government, we have to be able to look after our people. Our people is the man who is hungry in jungles of Africa, is the child who was hungry in bed in Belgium, is the child who has no shoes to wear in the United States. We do not put difference between continents, and we don't put difference between parts of each continent. You will see the emergence of New World operation, the basis of it, and then you all understand why we put so much effort in the past years into this work. You will understand every one of us is responsible for another soul. Every one of us is responsible to look after the totality of humanity, not just next door neighbor. This is not a charity organization. This is a change in the direction that, as I said the Keshe Foundation up, I set the Earth Council and Universal Council up. We told you we are working on the banking system in the background. We told you that we are setting up new police force. All these, slowly in coming days, will be revealed. Everything is in place. To unite one nation, we need one governing body. To unite as one nation, as one race, we have to be all human race, irrespective of color, religion, creed, whatever we call it. This comes from the wisdom of the knowledge and nothing else. We are not planning anything except spreading knowledge and sharing what is at the moment with everyone equal the same. I will explain this starting from next Monday. I have already debriefed in full, as it could be done, the Earth Council members to understand what is about to come. We have the responsibility for every single person on this planet. Every single entity on this planet. The operation of me is going to finish for a lot of us. We still live a good life. We don't change that you have to take your clothes off and give to somebody else. But we understand that the process is that we share. We share according to what we are happy to share, but in totally different way. Social securities in the Western world has not brought joy and happiness, but more misery for the people who become dependent on it. The poverty of the government not be able to support the poor in Africa and South America has not brought any death on the streets that people die of hunger. They just live in absolute poverty just for another breath of air, another glass of water. It's the responsibility of the Keshe Foundation supporters to make sure every child has a shelter, every child has a food, and every child has a father and mother to love. The problem with us is we always looked, we are happy, it's okay. I always said in all my talks, I never live a poor life. I never live a life which is beyond understanding, but even at the peak of the wealth, I always lived a very modest life because that's how it should be. So those who follow us will follow the same. We don't ask for any financial support. We don't ask for any donations. We have set up, and we set up more factories that we finance it. The Keshe Foundation, through its worldwide operation, will finance nation by nation. We finance more and more individuals. We don't ask questions. We are there to give freely. We are there to teach freely. And we leave it to every man to decide how to teach, how to elevate, how to bring another soul to joyful position. I have worked for a long time to get to this point. And in so many ways, the souls who are there to bring the change are walking in one by one, without us asking. They come in and they bring their own beauty, their own flower into the bouquet of humanity. It's not going to be done by a few, but once we start, the few becomes a lot. This is what I want to do. I taught you a lot about the soul of the man, but what we have to understand, what is the soul of the man? Why does the soul of the man ends up with the physicality of the man? What has been the process that after the physicality, we become back to be the essence of creation in no dimension, and then we start the whole process again. What and how we can change and achieve this is very simple. We are part of the larger process, which us become the creator while you're being created. So in essence, you learn the beauty of the way you've been created, and in becoming the creator, you add more essence to it to make it more fulfilled, to gather more knowledge that by your creation, By creating more, you add to the knowledge of the creation, add to the essence, to the beauty of the creation. So every one of us, as I've said in the other teaching, becomes a flower in the bouquet of the creation. Why do we have a soul? What else you want to call it? A center? The beginning? The beauty? Whatever name you want to put to it, it doesn't make any difference in the essence of the knowledge that us, in a dimension of physicality within us, we hold the essence of creation. In this dimension is the creation of our own being, and in another dimension becomes creator of others. It's the selfishness of the man who has not seen this, and he thinks his soul is totally belongs to him and his physicality. This is what we got to learn. This is what we got to understand. That in essence, once we are created out of the essence of the souls of the others, we call our parents, then we create a dimension of the soul of our own, which leads to our own physicality. And then when the physicality reaches the point of balance of the fields of itself, the essence of our creation is released to lead to a bigger creation, not only to our meager existence of our physicality. This is what we have to rejoice, not to worry or to try to understand what is next. Because when you become the creator of the next cycle, you are aware of fully of what you have done and what has been, what needs to be, and what is the purpose. It's very much till you don't sit for the exam, you don't know what you've learned, till the questions are asked. Till man does not elevate to the new dimension of the release from the physicality of the present body, that man comes to understand it has bigger purpose for all his existence, leads to creation of new dimension, leads to the creation of new souls, leads to the creation of entirely a new cycle of life. Don't forget what we said from the beginning. The further you go within the essence, the more stronger fields are that it can give the weaker. So the more we go to the essence, as our brain reduces and absorbs and uses the looser fields, that the essence, our soul, on its release, becomes a stronger part of the creation, that it leads to the creation of totality. Now you start a new life with purer, stronger, and more in essence of the creator, because the looser ends, the weaker ends have already been consumed for the creation of man. Now you understand the totality of the creation. So when we leave this physical body as a soul, it's like when the electron releases itself from the neutron, the proton still exists. Our physicality on this dimension still carries on. It dissolves, it becomes part of the others, but the soul in its totality and due to its strength starts a new life, very fast life, very bright life, very dimensional life. In a way, it's the protector and creator of a new cycle. You see how electron shines in front of its own creator, was within the center of the proton. This is how the soul of the man will shine in the universe. And the strength of that shine shows the strength of the knowledge, the purity which the body of the man acquired at the time of the presence in the physical dimension of the man. Teaching is very easy. For me, it's a second nature. But understanding for man to put his prejudices of the past aside is very difficult. because we have accepted dogmas of the past. And for us, as I've said many times, to accept the new, to see how far we accepted the wrong knowledge is very, very hard. It's impossibility. This is where the problem comes. When we become very much clear with ourselves, clear with our thoughts and understanding, then we can develop into the next step. As I said today, I'm going from meeting to meeting. I have to do a lot of things before next week when we put the structure together, and it cannot be done by anybody else. So when I leave, please join us. Take the dimension into reaching as many ambassadors and as many presidents. Doesn't matter how many times you send a message. Doesn't matter how many times you let one ambassador or the other to know. There has been a point raised, what about the little islands? Send it to them too. Now you're one nation. Those ambassadors are your ambassador. Just don't stick to yours. Start from the smallest one more than the top one, because the smallest one, find that are important too. You'll find the leaders, the heads, the kings, the rulers of the smaller island respond to you much better than the big one, because nobody has ever considered them. Now they are part of the jigsaw. Without them, there will be no peace. So when you're sending the emails, when you're sending the invitation to their ambassadors, start with a smaller island, and you can cover the top two. But in bringing the small, we gather a stone of peace. And this is the secret of it. Try to look at all the nations. If you are a Jew, write in your letter to the ambassador, I'm a Jew, I'm inviting you, the Islamic head of the state of Iran or whatever, for peace. If you're a Muslim, write to the Israeli ambassador, write, I'm a Muslim, I would like to invite you to become ambassador of peace for humanity. The invitation is understanding of the man for the purpose we are in now. I have to go. I'll come back in half an hour now when the meeting is finished, and I'll be with you for some times, and then I'll go back again from meeting to meeting. Thank you very much, Rick.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Keshe.
I think he has disappeared, Rick. Good afternoon.
Yes, it looks that way, Caroline.
Good morning, Caroline. How are you?
We went so quiet, we thought you disappeared.
No, it's okay. I'll see you in a few minutes when I finish one meeting, and I'll come back.
Okay. Thank you very much. Was there anything else, Rick, you wanted to ask?
Nothing in particular right now comes to mind. How is there some way you'd like to direct things at this point?
Start the day. Beautiful sunshine and a lot of coffee, Rick.
But not too much.
So I know our teams are nice. They share my same passion, a nice cup of coffee. It's not only to stay awake, but it's very comfortable to have a nice, warm, hot coffee or tea. So I welcome you all. Thank you, Mr. Keshe. We know we're going to hear you again this afternoon later. And yes, I have something beautiful to share with you all. As usual, things come my path or they pass my path. And then there is a message in it. And it's a wonderful, beautiful message. Maybe some people have seen or heard or watched. And it's about pay ahead. Pay upfront. Now you're going to ask, what does that mean? Pay ahead. Pay forward actually is the title. And it's teacher which brings one concept on the board in the classroom with 11 years old. So they're in the 7th grade. And he brings this idea forward that they don't know anything about the world. The children are in communication with him, responding, but nobody is requesting anything from us. But he says, but you're going to have an idea how you want to create your world. So he puts that kind of line on the billboard, and he says, it doesn't matter how you're going to, or what you're going to bring. I'm going to give you a merit on the amount of the ideas you can bring forward. So this was, just 1 second. You're going to go deaf otherwise. Just 1 moment. Sorry.
Caroline should be back here in a few seconds, no doubt. So it's the idea, the pay forward, pay ahead. Fried mentions it in the live stream as well. It's a familiar idea, apparently.
Yes, sorry
Hello.
for this. Hello, sorry. I'm get interrupted and then totally goes haywire, and I know you're going to go deaf. So I prefer to mute until you just give me 1 minute. I'm sorry for this.
No problem, thank you.
The children give the feedback to the teacher, and then slowly you see the process unfolding. But he has actually written on the board, how are you going to create the world, your path, your environment? If you remember, we brought these kind of topics on a regular basis back, your intent, how you share, how you function as a knowledge seeker. And one of these little boys, he came up with a brilliant idea. Maybe I'm bringing this forward because maybe it will make it more clear to a lot of knowledge seekers how it works and how easy it is to do. He came up with the concept that he needs to do 3 tasks which are nearly impossible. But he has to do and give something to somebody, or do something for somebody. So very slowly he brought it on the billboard, and he says, if I take 3, then the one I have given it to has to make one promise that he will take care of 3 difficulties to make a change. And everybody is quiet, nobody says anything, and he starts working on the pattern in the background on his own. And the first thing he does is he's bringing a drug addict. He picked it up and he brought him into the garage. He allowed him to sleep in the trunk, but he wasn't saying anything to his mom. He was feeding him, he was allowing him to take a shower, and you start seeing the changes. I'm just giving you the topics in the high level. The boy was trying to challenge the change. And then from one event after another, just 1 second, please.
And Freed mentions there's a feature film called Pay It Forward with Kevin Spacey and Helen Hunt. And Haley Joel Osmond. Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Yes, I do apologize for this, but I cannot tell them not to push the bell. So he was only 11 years old. So he was and he was tiny. He was not a big boy. And he took this massive task on his shoulders and he believed in it. And then he went to another level but it was not because you could see two levels. You could see already the end product from his efforts from the first initiation he took was already unveiling while he was struggling to try to complete his 3 tasks. So you see a balance coming up that it was working because there was something happening. Police was called, press was called, and through one of the events, the car from the guy from the reporter got smashed up. And there was a guy standing in the rain with an umbrella with a dog, and he says, "Here are the keys, take my car." And it was a Jaguar. He says, "My God, I cannot accept this. You're gonna, maybe the car is loaded with drugs or whatever." So he had a really hard time as a journalist to receive it as a gift. And then he started bumping into people which were touched with this pay it forward. So he was working on one level, but the boy was carrying on working on his level. But he did not see the results so much. It's only at the end when they start coming together. Each of his change by doing something to change a man's life, you see the energy changing, the soul changing, then the testimonies from the people which took the wish up to change, pay it forward, meaning I'm giving you something because I made that decision. You see different people taking different shapes and forms of changing somebody's life somewhere. He did it with the drug addict. You can do it by protecting somebody who would have been chased down by the police. You can do it by intervening where you can intervene because it's on your level. It is beautiful. So what I was trying to explain to you is working in the same way. You are already paying it forward through your soul because you are already serving humanity. That's why it will have such a huge impact. That's why it's growing so fast. Because it works. Each one had a problem, but they overcame their problem. Even the drug addict guy fell back into his old. The boy tried to pull him out. So to the boy, he felt like it didn't work. But then later in the developing of what was happening, it takes time. The energy needs the time to move in the platform where it can come back. But the gentleness and the kindness of the boy, he never forget. He never forget. And he was walking on the bridge back to trying to find a next shot or a next shelter where he could, get his drug abuse. And he saw a woman climbing on the bridge to jump to suicide herself. And he stood there and he begged the woman. And she said no. She was refusing. And he said no. He said, "Will you save my life?" And she turned around and the face changed, that she accepted it. So he was asking for help, but at the same time, he made her to come off the bridge. So when you go out of your protected environment and your normal way, when you see somebody in real need, how small or how big it is, it doesn't make no difference. But when you reach your hand, it's like you're paving the road ahead of you for it somewhere to come back to support you. You change the whole plateau. And this is what I was trying to encourage you to go more and to do more, because it is creating the path for you to give. Paying it forward means I give you freely with no attachment. The only thing I'm requesting for you to respect the tree, for you to multiply, because the boy's target was to change the whole world. He didn't look at it small, he took the whole planet. And it worked. The only problem was he did not get the confirmation so fast until the end, because the reporter who received it on the other side came back, because he went chasing what is this paying it forward. And he found the link, and that's how you start understanding how it was working, how he was such a little tiny thing, putting it on a board. If I make one and I make the three, then he started multiplying. And that is the snowball effect. This is exactly what the Keshe Foundation and the Intent of Peace is creating. You keep on touching souls, but maybe now you understand why it's going so fast and why it's growing so fast. Because you're givers. You changed your platform in giving. So you're paying forward, you're paving your road with a different energy. Because it's the right intent, we have learned where you create light, you receive more light. Does anybody have any questions or adding to this? Or have you even seen this movie, how beautiful it gets unfolded?
Yes, dear Catherine, this is beauty. And I had watched this movie before, and I was so touched by that movie. Yes, and even I was crying during the movie, and I feel that yes, even the very little simple intention, and you just do it, you just believe it, and it can really impact the whole world. So I quite agree that just like this peace movement of Keshe Foundation, if everyone do a little, and then we are already change the energy, change the environment of us, and we can see the peace will come later, although maybe not can appear so fast. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing. The funny thing is that it goes faster than you think, because if you take the calculator and you do the multiplication from 1 to 3, and then from 3 to 3, you start adding up very fast. This is why it's going so fast. That's why we have already reached this level that we are going for the total change. So the difficulty is no longer there, because we paid the path in front of us. We shaped the path in front of us. And it's a beautiful path. And it's only confirming to all of you how in such a tiny little small form, even you think you're maybe not even aware of it, but this tiny little gesture you give against water or against path or a pain pan, and you give it to somebody who's suffering, that is already paying it forward. So it is creating the path. And this is why you will see it will grow, because we are uniting in the same path of giving, creating more and more light. Yes.
Oh, yes. I still remember when at the beginning I set up the private teaching in Chinese, and there's only one or two people, and Jackie just encouraged me. And you will say later those people will have more and more joining with us. And even one of my friends said that, oh, you don't know how many people will listen your teaching in the future. So I believe so. So I just start with a few people, and I can see, or I believe in that in the future a lot of people will join with us. So I always think big, and even at the beginning, yeah.
Thank you. We are paying it forward for our children. We are making the platform ready for them. As children, if we connect them with our path, it will only increase much faster.
Hi, Caroline. This is Brett.
Yeah, go ahead, Brett.
Caroline, we've created a website that unbelievably uses the concept of pay forward. So the concept of pay forward is nothing new to me, and it's the most beautiful thing that I have ever known of and understood of. So the concept of pay forward is, to me, how one can use it in the actual sense of daily life. So for me, daily life means that we have a concept called pay forward, and when you're a person that works in India or Pakistan or whatever, we have a digital currency built within the website that allows equality between whatever country that you're in. And we use a thing called pay forward, which is a concept that each of the transactions that happen on the website, we put the money into pay forward. So any profit, that is, goes into pay forward. And pay forward means to us that somebody can work for sweat equity in another country out of the pay forward money that, or transactional, let's just not call it money, because it's a digital currency. So what we do is we allow somebody from any country in the world to have equality, and we use pay forward. Pay forward meaning, to clarify again, is that any money that the website makes goes into pay forward. So somebody puts in sweat equity, they get paid for it. So we're paying forward of somebody's labor. So the whole thing is designed so that we can actually do without money. And it's got a digital currency plugged into it. And that's a blockchain. So every transaction is covered. And I understand 100% what you're saying about pay forward, because we built a website on it. And it's beautiful. Thank you.
You're more than welcome. I just wanted to bring it forward, especially for the knowledge seekers, which, you know, to give them confidence that they are already applying it. But if you use sometimes different words or explain it slightly different, it's like you open a new door. And a lot of people are not aware of this system. I know it exists because this was one of the first postings which came on the Universal Council chat groups in Facebook, that they showed people or hanging their clothes for people to pick up whatever they like when they're short of something, and they bring back what they don't need. The people which have no food, that they can go in a pantry and just take what they want or what they're short of, and sometimes bring something what they don't need or they have too much of. And these were all beautiful ideas, but then somewhere it got stuck. Maybe because I had to come to this point to connect it as well, for it to bring it forward into more public, to understand the whole concept. It works the same way. It is paying forward because it's the word currency. You pay something, you automatically think about, you have to give somebody money. But in this case, it doesn't work that way. It is literally you going out of your way to give something to somebody because simply that time, that spot, he needs it, with no attachment, except the wish that he repeats it 3 times. So it grows, automatically it grows. Now, you all as knowledge seekers, start calculating how many times you have given and reached your hand out to help and to support somebody who needed it in the correct sense of the path. That's why Mr. Keshe, in the first teaching of the MAGRAPH, the blueprint, he said, I suggest the first MAGRAPH you make, you give it away. If you go back to that teaching, you will pick it up. He's repeated it more than once. When you make your first unit, you give it to your neighbors, or you give it to your family, or you give it to somebody who is in need, and then you make one for yourself. This worked with the same principle. Pay it forward. You give it first before you take yourself. That's why it came in the teaching. It's sometimes not always fully explained where, what, how, but now if you connect the wording, the sentence, pay it forward, which means you pave the road ahead of you. Most of the MAGRAPHs that have been made and created in this position, these are the people, most of them have achieved beautiful results. I remember very well, but sometimes, it comes like a gift and you don't understand fully the impact of a gift. How the Austrian team made a MAGRAPH unit because Peter was not capable, because he was too busy teaching and he wasn't moving. And the whole team made him a maggraph and give it to him. And he posted within a week and he said, Caroline, I have so much reduction. I said, yes, Peter, because you received it as a gift. It was paid forward from the team. Because he was already paying so much forward as a teacher and not making and having time for himself to make one, they made sure his life came more comfortable by offering him a maggraph as a gift. That's the pay it forward. I'm just using this term because for more understanding how it works. And whoever is working in this way, now if you connect with the knowledge, now this is your guarantee you will achieve peace. Now you get the confirmation this is an unstoppable train. And you're all part of it. Every single one who makes the pay it forward move is the same as the application of the intent. It's the same way you're moving the energy forward for you to create the change. This was the exact topic that this boy wanted to achieve. Because if I do it, and I do it 3 times, he calculated it out, then it will multiply and I will achieve my change. And he did. And so do you, all of you. So you don't need to look anymore for confirmation. The only thing you have to keep on doing, please, is multiply your pay it forward. Don't stop. Don't stop. And ask other people to come and join to explain how it works. For you to understand the pleasure of giving is so beautiful. Anybody any more adding to this, please?
Well, one thing that, this is Rick here, one thing that came to mind when you were describing that is if you were to think of it in terms of an actual spaceship, the creation of a spaceship, or perhaps our own spaceship, but thinking in terms of a spaceship, as Mr. Keshe has talked about, utilizing the fields and this idea of projecting the fields like many kilometers ahead of the spaceship. So in a way, in that case, it's the spaceship is paying ahead. It's paving the road ahead of itself and providing this whole protective field in front of the spaceship as it travels through space. And if it didn't have that pay ahead field, that whole field in front of it, it wouldn't have that protective barrier that is needed. And I noticed that it's 3 layers are talked about as well. So these 3 layers need to extend out into space in much the same way you were describing how people can pay forward with these three main wishes. It's the interaction of them all at once that provides that pavement, you might say.
Yes, but you forgot one thing. You're number 4. You're the 4th to complete. You know you need 4 in the star formation? Because you're ignited, you're the main reactor.
Right.
And I will give you more insight because you brought up the spaceship. Is we know Earth is rumbling. We see the earthquakes coming. We see the volcanoes. We see storms. We see disastrous zones. Now, if you can hold on to what Rick was explaining, you can pave or pay it forward to create that you can create the dome of protection that we can uplift whole cities, that Mother Earth can maneuver underneath, but not a single soul will be touched. And if you think this is far-fetched, it's not. Because if you can travel in space with your fields, why would we not be able to create the same dome of fields to protect certain parts of humanity? Nobody needs to suffer. Nobody needs to go into disaster zones, because you can protect them to go through it, keep them safe. They have everything. As Mr. Keshe explained before, it will take longer to load a ship than actually what you can carry on it. You can carry whatever you want because you just extend the fields. Now, if you go in the pay it forward or pave it forward or create it forward, you can start directing your intent when you know we can do it all together. We just direct our intent to protect a certain area because the warnings come. We know ahead of certain situations. We can protect all of them. We can embed them in our intent to be safe, to be comfortable. We can create the fields because we manifest. And if we start exercising already from every teaching we are going to get used to how to do it, you will see you can achieve it as humanity, even to change conditions, to keep people safe, to prevent them. And then when it's done, they can go back to normal. Although when you put them in these protection fields, they won't go through the suffering. So if your love and your intent is directed, you are the creators, you can manifest. Now, with the same intent, we are working to understand where we are going to achieve those points, is when we direct or pay it forward towards the governments, it's already done. We're still working left, right, and getting the little nudges, but please, people, don't stop writing. Don't stop sending out. As I put my post out, please take countries under your wings which have nobody to present them because they are not aware of the foundation. They're not aware of you knowledge seekers. So we will protect them because we're going to bring them in our shields. So if our intent is there to pay it forward for them, we bring them under our wings with our gift. And they don't even need to know anything about it because they will feel it. Anybody can add to this, please?
I would like to add, this is John here. You got all the indigenous people that live along the Andes. Whenever they produce any food or drink, the first thing they do is they give the first serving to the earth, to Mother Earth. Always. They've done this for ages. It's a magnificent way of giving to receive.
Yes. But how can we unite more intent? How can we create a path of more giving? What is your intent how to change for you? What would you do? Because every adding will open a door somewhere else. So I welcome you to share what would you pay it forward. That you know there is a problem that you know you can change. But then also, when you state it here, to go and do it, if you haven't already done it.
I don't like to speak about myself, but as soon as I found out about the Keshe studies, and I started studying in the classes, I was enthused with the energy part of the studies, but as soon as I saw the medicine side of it, I changed over. I gave up all the coils. I didn't even finish treating the coils, and I started working with the water. This was what, nearly 15 or 16 months ago, and well, I'm producing the GANS water by the hundreds of liters a day and giving this away, and I find people are recovering their health daily in an impressive way, and that's the way I find my duty, my work is helping every person I can I have at hand to help. That I find I'm doing this work. What I'm learning, I'm preaching.
Now, I would love to know, how did you start paying it forward? Was it because the way you saw the need for it, or your responsibility point? It's not that you can't talk about yourself, because we're learning through you. I have a habit, I always jump when I see somebody is in need. It's like a trigger in me. I can't explain either. There's not much to talk about it neither, but I know that wherever I see something which somebody needs a support, I'm just like a magnet, just jumping, either shape and form. The only thing I have learned in my process is to start asking permission. But in a lot of ways, there is no need of any permission to ask to support. But for certain positions, it needs it. But I would like to know, for you to share, what made you to pay it forward? Condition that you say, I bring it forward. Would you like to share that with us, please?
Yeah, I'd love to, yes. The other day when we spoke to each other, I mentioned part of my upbringing, and this is the way I was brought up with. The way of always give, retribute what one receives. My father brought us up this way. I don't know what else I could say, but this is the way we were brought up at home.
Can you still hear me?
Yes?
Yeah, go ahead, Caroline.
Can you repeat it, please? Because I got lost. I received a telephone call and I couldn't hear you anymore. Sorry.
I was saying that a couple of days ago when we spoke to each other, I mentioned that this is the way I was brought up at home. My father always taught us to do this way. Always help and retribute whatever one receives. Try and help whatever one is doing, or, well, I wouldn't know how to explain this. It just...
So we all can give gratitude to your parents that they have created this path for you to become a giver.
Yes, I sure do. I've lost my parents 15, 60 years ago, but I still feel the same way.
They were beautiful parents to show you this path. And thank you for sharing. We give our gratitude to your parents, for sure. Thank you. Somebody else wants to step forward to share? Now it's time to go back into your memories, I think, to see where you picked up to become a giver. And it has become so naturally to you. But it's also very important to express our gratitude to where we received and through what we received as messages to become a giver. Because if they would have not been there before us, how could we express their life, their intent, and multiply it because of your existence? This is what we're going to create for our children, to show them the path. We are the examples. As we said before, you stand here before whoever was here before you, because we are all one, we are all connected, and now the expression in you and in your children came forward to whoever was before you. And not enough people look back to say thank you in full gratitude. What they have achieved is what you are and how you are today. A beautiful person, which will pass on what they set off for us. And as you will set off for your children the path of giving. And this is where the pivot point sits in humanity, to realize and accept and turn around and say thank you for whoever was before us here. The gratitude, and not only to the parents, but also to your environment, which has supported you with everything you can imagine that has sustained our living on this planet. To express our gratitude to Mother Earth in a very grateful, thankful way for whatever she has provided for us. The conditions, the food, the warmth, the cold, whatever we learned from her, and say thank you. Because it becomes to the path. I'm grateful for whoever made that movie to show it in such a beautiful way. How this idea originated from a child. And how it was brought forward, how it works, and the simplicity of it. And what he achieved to create this path by simple doing some maths. he was at the same time, if you understand the movie and if you can go to it, the title is Give It, Pay It Forward. He was touching all the lives around him, and they were changing one way or another. He was reconnecting people which would have not been possible to reconnect. He was creating paths that people could meet, could join, could change. They were changing their path because of the impact. It didn't matter in which level of the society, they were all receiving this wish from this boy of the change. Now, if you can stand still for just one moment and take in what you have brought as a change, you should all be proud of you, all proud of yourself. But at the same time, in full gratitude, because I say thank you to that teacher who brought that line on the board for the boy to realize that he can do something with it. So we're all depending on one another to create this path of change. Once you have received this knowledge, you cannot no longer deny it exists. You cannot avoid your path of giving and change. And if it becomes difficult, just go back to where it started to become difficult, because somewhere you didn't get the message or you changed something and then you can't follow what you changed before. And then your path goes smooth again. One thing people should understand, that whatever happens in your life is not so much anything to do with nobody else. It's you who have to find your route. And you are creating your path. If you can accept that, and you're the change, and you're the expression, and you're the love, and you're the care, then you can shape your path more to become more. And whoever has struggled to get here was because the knowledge wasn't there before. As Mr. Keshe said, there is nobody that needs to have or request or ask for any forgiveness because you didn't know. Now our path, because we received the knowledge, we know, we understand, we work with it. Now it's to be in full gratitude how we share it and how we can create the impact of the change. Because we are changing the path. We have to have no doubts about that. You can sense the feeling when you're in these teachings in the last peace, friendship, more important, the friendship and the sharing. You all have put your shoulders on to pay it forward. But now it has increased to a level which is very huge. So don't stop. Just keep on encouraging more people to come on board. I received somewhere a post in the back that people are connecting with groups which are working in the same direction as us. And they know about the Keshe Foundation, and they know about, and they say, they say complimentary things about it. But they want to stay in their own path. And I said, but why? If you work on the same ethos, you haven't realized that you are already in the same path. Why the name differences? Why staying like a separate group when you are already expressing the same? Pay it forward to peace. Because the more shoulders we can get under, the more we can create giving. Are there more people who want to share their path, how it has changed them, that we can share more? Please step forward and share with us.
Hello. Hello, Caroline. Here's Raphael from Switzerland. We met us at the Universal Council once. I wanted to add that since I'm a child, and in my family this is also normal behavior, we don't let people pay for something just because we wanted us this. It's a normal saying in our family that the universe will pay it back when it's needed. So, and with this trust, I can grow up, and I still have this behavior, and I never want the energy balance from this person I met or I give something, because I know the universe give it back if I need something.
So in a way, you have been taught to trust the path that it will come back, or it will be there available for you.
Yes, that's the understanding in my family for many years, many centuries maybe. And it's something that we have learned about years and generations in our family, that nothing gets lost. And I'm a chemistry, so I understand the principle of energy converting and never get lost. And that's the same, but in a spiritual wise. So universe is coherent in every level and every state.
Thank you for sharing. But how can we reach more people to come to understand that it's the confidence?
I try to explain that if people are concerned to give me something back, I tell them just how we do it, and it seems to work on its own way. But I don't know a campaign or something to do how to change this continuation in a faster wise.
I'll try to give you an example which I used in one of my presentations. And it's a very simple one, but it opens the shutters and the doors at the same time, if you understand it. You know, when people collect things, gadgets or material, and they start stashing it, and you know, maybe one day we might need it, and it builds up to a storage room which is not moving because it's just piled up in case of. So to me, what I understood of that explanation, and I had to say thank you to this lady who explained it, she said, because that energy is not moving, let's say it's clothes. These clothes cannot be worn by nobody else because they're hanging in your cupboard, they're not moving. Their energy and the purpose for what they were created for was for other people or for a human being to enjoy the pleasure of wearing these clothes to cover them, to keep them warm, for whatever purpose they were created for. Because they are in a stagnated position of still stand energy, that energy of whatever has been put in that corner or in the cupboards, which are not moving, is carrying an energy field which is negative. And this attracts thieves because there is too much of this energy, so you get burglars in the house. But the funny thing is, they don't come what you have stashed away. They come and take things which you are daily using, your television and your stereo installation and whatever is very valuable to you at that time, at that moment, because you're using it, but they don't touch your storage. But you have to understand that you have created a negative field in the house because of stagnation, which is supposed to serve the purpose for what it was made for. So if you don't stash nothing, you don't create the field to attract another field to come and show you the path. You know you have to move because it's not supposed to stand still. It's supposed to serve because that's the purpose for what I was created for.
You mean because life is floating?
Because it has to move. It has to move. It doesn't serve no purpose if I keep them in my cupboard. They don't serve nothing. They're just dead, hanging, dead energy. But when I take them out of my cupboard, because I'm not wearing them, I'm not using them, and I go and put them somewhere, let's say in a second-hand shop, or I give them to wherever they can be used, then I create the flow of the energy again. So I empty that stagnated energy and I turn it in and convert it into something where it starts moving. If you understand this principle, you do not attract burglars if you don't have stagnated energy in your house. And this was such a beautiful example that a lot of people don't stand still with it. Things are supposed to move because they're all energy. Even if they're in a matter state, as Mr. Keshe has explained, a stone has a soul, has an energy. If you can reach or go to the level to what that energy is, you can communicate. But I wanted to show it into the physicality because everybody knows if they have things in the house which are not moving because they're not used, you can't use them because you have too many of it. Make it go circulating again. So you pave the path, you pay forward because that energy, whatever, let's say it's clothing, will go and serve somebody who can't afford it. So you create the flow. And the clothes are happy because they've been constructed to serve something that they can be at service. And this is with anything which is in the physical matter. So don't confuse because you can't see it. It carries an energy because it's been constructed to serve something. It had a purpose to serve, to dress somebody, to make somebody beautiful, or to make somebody warm, or to make somebody comfortable. You understand?
For me, something that exists, even it's created artificial by man, it has a soul as well, because the idea of it is, for me, represents the soul. And then the building up is the transition, and the existence of the new is the shielding. So we have the three entities of life. That for me represents maybe the same what you told before.
Yeah, it's in a different layer of where you can stagnate and not serve the purpose, and how the other fields are interacting because it's not moving. That was my point. The same point as Dr. Klaus brought last week. about the medical systems. If a unit is built to serve, it has a soul because it's being created to serve, to reverse the conditions of people. When that unit wasn't serving for what it was built for with the love and the care and the intent, it changed owner. We understand? So if you have been creating Ganses, and you have been creating maggraph systems, and you have been creating paint pens or star formations, or whatever you had in your ability to create from the knowledge, it is supposed to serve a purpose. So when you hand it out and it goes the right way, you pay it forward, as we say. You serve because you give. So I have known from certain situations, it came to my ear, that they protect the labs like with their life, and the Ganses are standing there, and it's like a showroom. This is not the purpose of the creating of the Ganses. They're supposed to flow because their energy, their life, they yearn to go and serve more.
I nearly have nothing anymore in my lab because every time I have something, I give it away straight away. So I don't have a depot of all my tools and things I created from the Keshe technology. Most of it is out of the house.
Yes, but there are a lot of people which hold on to their Ganses and they don't distribute them freely. I just want to give them a hint. Get them out. It's your path of giving. You create for more to receive more. The intent of writing this letter is not so much that it is in writing on a paper. It's not so much that it goes on a screen. Every time you touch a letter to be sent out with the purpose to create peace, it's a light which gets ignited because your soul receives more transparency. It starts beaming like a light. People pick up on these energies. This is what I'm trying to explain. The more letters you touch, the more your intent is connected with it, the more you give in the same way, you are forgetting. You are becoming so beautiful. You're becoming so powerful, but not in the sense of the wrong way. Your soul adds. It gets brighter. It becomes like a torch in the night. And we know if we want to change and bring this magnificent change, we just have to create light. We need to shine. Our fields need to expand, and this is the only path we can walk to expand them. And this is what you're becoming. Walking lights, walking safe havens for people which have no idea. You create, you expand so much. People will start noticing it. The resistance of what you try to express will be automatically there because you carry the light. They will start recognizing these lights. That's the beauty. But at the same time, when your souls are becoming like bright lights, this is the message you are sending to the universal communities. They recognize your fields. They don't see your body or your physicality, but they sense your light. How bright you shine with your intent. And these are the fields we are needing to expand, to be noticed and to grow.
Thank you, Caroline. That was a great explanation.
We already have created the first dome through the gases spraying everywhere around this planet. It's covered, our planet is covered. Now, the intent with the magraphs connects. Now we go to the star formation because we are on that level. Your flight systems or you're the igniter because you're the fourth core, you're the fourth position. The same as you explained, the same as Rick explained. You are the ignition key. You are the light. You are the energy feeder to make this all to happen, to realize, to create. You all become walking light beams. Doesn't matter in which corner on which planet, where you are, in what little room or what big room you're working, the more you work with this knowledge, the more your soul starts radiating out. I know from few months ago, maybe even more than a year ago, when people were making the magraphs, there were people coming from 1 or 2 kilometers away because they could see the house in a glow, because the person made it the right way. He created with so much love and care that it was visible, the field. Now you can imagine, you think you're invisible for the universal communities? Forget about it. You are so present, you're so beautiful, you're so shining because of your giving. And this is something you have to become aware of. Because now you know how to increase your fields to shine more. And this can only work because you follow the path of your soul, which her or his intent is to become bigger, to have more energy, to shine more, to be so transparent that it blinds other people when they come around you. And this is the gift which you're giving to yourself by being the creator of your own light and ignite so many other lights. And this is what is going to
Hello, Caroline. Are you still there?
Yeah, as usual, getting kicked out sometimes now and then. I do not know where I lost it or where you lost me.
It was just a sentence or so ago. It was not very long.
Yeah.
It was.
That's how you're going to change the planet. By one beautiful expansion of light. Because we need to bring light, that's all. To remove darkness, you have to bring light. But that can only happen when you manifest yourself as a light. Now you have all the tools to come beautiful lights to remove the darkness. Somebody was texting me yesterday or the day before, and he says, but you know, they're harming my friends. How can I not? I said, don't feed the energy. You change your point of interaction. Instead of being anger, and being mad and being frustrated. I said, change your point, send a different energy. You, by sending it, you're creating light. That's how you remove the darkness. That's why they can't stand those fields. That's how you will bring this change on this planet, by light. Can anyone add to this, please?
Hello, it's Pia here.
Yes.
Hello. I would like to add a bit, just a little one. I also totally agree with what you're saying, and I really want to say thank you to you, and thank you to all of you. And we're meeting here together in this way. For example, we meet here at the workshops across the world, and this connection we create with the work we do together, and the communication we have, and through a common intention for world peace and love, and like this we create the bridges. We really create the bridges across continents and connect nations all over the globe. And this is creating the effect of I was thinking about this yesterday, the coherent of peace. And this is amplified. It's like when we do this kind of connections in a globally way, then it will be amplified. And it's a comparable. I have an example I once heard from a teacher. He said, if you hang a lot of old clocks, I don't know, is it Cocos? The name is. If you hang old clocks in the same room, and they hit in different time, the entailers. But once they have hung in that room for a while, they will link up with each other and begin to hit the beat in the same kind of rhythm. It's natural, it's just happening. And this is the coherent effect with the people and the efforts we are doing, and not only in this group, but the countless of groups and efforts from the people all over the globe. And when we do this with the plasma work, it's even stronger, yes. And I just want to thank you, and thank you for this peace work.
You're welcome. Are there any more people who want to share?
Hi, Caroline.
Hi, Jalal. Good afternoon.
Good day, good afternoon. I would like to share with you my story, and I would like to thank my grandfather and my father for what they done and for what I become. The path of the generation of our families, there are two parts. One part is high level educated people and wealthy, and the line what we came from is nearly satisfying, not poor, not wealthy, but satisfied. But the main thing here, last time I was sitting with myself and thinking what Mr. Cash said, that you are here not because you decide to come here, no, because it's already there is a plan for you to come here, and this is so already decided from long time ago. My grandfather, he was very kindness and very good, that the people when they see him coming, they said here come this generous man who give always, and like, throwing, they call him in the name of throwing, and my father get his name from this meaning. And he died with an accident, train accident, when my father was 12 years old, and that put my father in position that he cannot learn and educate. So you see, from here began the separate of the lines. My father, he learned to be independent, but with lack of knowledge and the lack of who show him the path and the way. But he took the kindness of my grandfather. And before, when was my father teaching me, he said, if you spend the money in your pocket, you will see the future. I didn't understand what that mean until recently. I understand that this is attachment. The money is attachment, and when you give it away, you will not have any attachment with the physicality. Now you are dealing with the soul and the kindness. In our environment, when I was raised, there was something called kindness. Also in the religion, they said you give to the poor people and the people who need, and you must look to the seventh neighbor if he needs something, or uh, he has some needs. So you must look after him. And if you don't have any money and you don't have anything to give, just a beautiful word, it will uh, make the difference. It will be the same if you give any amount of money. So I raised in that situation, that if I don't have anything, just a beautiful smile, or a good word, beautiful word, or I can help with physicality, that it make um what our aim, or what our seal, that is the kindness. And when I see my other line of our family, I said, why they are in this position, wealthy and well educated, science and doctors, and we are in the other parts in that position. Now, from the teaching of Mr. Cash, I know what's happened, and I know why it's like this. Because if I raised as my the other part of family, I will be wealthy and, let's say, doctor or something, because I like to be knowledged. I love science, but there is no way that I complete even my studies. All the time there is something happens to put me in that position, that I do not complete my studies, even 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 the wealth. Once I was nearly wealthy, and sudden in one day everything goes. I didn't complain, but in a way I said, why? Just why? Why is my this is my luck? But I learned how to be satisfied with small things. I don't have needs. I don't ask for anything. Just give. And one thing my father always telling me, he said, in how to translate it to the English, that means you do the kindness, you make the kindness, and send it to the sea, or throw it in the sea. That means don't expect anything in return. Just do the good thing and go. Don't expect anything to come from it. And it's like he said, it's like a seed. You throw a beautiful seed of rose or kindness or something good, and leave it. And in the time when you come in this path again, you will see it as a tree. You will be benefit from it, and others will be benefit from it. And that what makes me as Jalal today, a man who gives without any expectation, anything, from no one, and who don't have needs, who don't have any attachment, but only if he can give love. And the only thing I I miss, I think this is the same way in this path, because I lost my mother when I was 7. Um, I seek the passion in the animals. I have all the passion for animals. I cannot stand any animal suffering with any kind. In my culture, when they see mice they kill them. But when I saw small mice, I take them without anyone that see me, and give them shelter and food and water. And it's happened so many times. They they punish me of that, but they don't understand this passion, because in our culture these animals, they don't deserve to live. And in my life, in my path, everything is deserved to live and to be uh, take care of it. So thank you, Caroline, to bring this issue. And i I am relieved. It's like not bugging in my shoulder, but something that to share with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Jalal. That's one of the beautiful sharing where you can express your gratitude, as we would not be here. And Mr. Keshe made it very clear in quite a few teachings. He says, you think you made the choice to be here, forget about it. I try to simplify it in a more way that your soul has taken you by the hand and brought you into the Keshe Foundation. I think a lot of people understand more this way, that it has brought you to the path where you're supposed to be. Because of the soul level, your souls are working and connected, they bring you where you belong. Sometimes it's a struggle to understand, to find a path. But as you and quite a few other people have shared already, you come to understand from where it originated. You've been given it with a spoon, as we say. It's been spoon fed very slowly for you to walk the path. And that's how you're in this big family. That's how we are uniting more and more souls. Because more and more souls, because of what we express, will start recognizing, wow, yes, if I analyze it, I've seen the examples in my grandfather or my grandmother or my different parts of my family. And it's beautiful how you expressed yourself, Jalal, in the different path of family. It's the same story as with the boy who was running away from his bigger brother because he was bullying, and he would have never managed to come onto this path if that diversion wouldn't have happened. So if you all go to your past, you can all come and declare in gratitude to one or another how your path ended up here, where you are now today. And I really encourage you, more people, to come forward and to please share how your path ended up and be here in the full understanding how and what brought you here. Because then we can express our gratitude to the ones which brought you on this path. Anyone else to share? Thank you. I've seen in the notes, with people understanding the path, they have started trusting. The trust is to know oneself and to confirm, most important, you are walking the path. Why is it so difficult for people to acknowledge that they are beautiful? Why is this such a burden or a hurdle to jump over, to acknowledge that you are beautiful, that you are a creator, that you can manifest? Can we change somewhere that path to reach more souls? And how can we do that? Maybe this would be our intent for today, to create the trust in oneself of the beauty he is or she is, or will become through the children, through our children. Can anybody share?
Well, Caroline, in the Zoom chat, Kat just says, thank you, Carolina, to confirm my feeling of the true way of being. Now I can trust this feeling and go forward to enjoy this path. So thanks to you on that one.
Oh, Rick, I'm trying in every corner to find people to recognize, to accept that they are beautiful, to trust their path, that there is nothing wrong to trust yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to use all the tools in each way for people to confirm that they are beautiful, they are a light. And as we said before, sometimes we need to use different expressions that it clicks on people to recognize the fact that it's always been there. Rick, how was your path?
How was my path? And what twists and turns it took along the way? I could go on for a long time, I suppose, on that in a way, as memories come up and whatnot. But where do I start? For me, there's sort of little indicators in my environment and relationships and so on along the way that have sort of guided me, I guess. At one point, I came to a point in my life where I just needed to, there's something missing in my life, and I needed to find out, what that was. What was it that doesn't seem right with the ordinary relationships and the ordinary things that activities and whatnot of the people around me, and it just seemed like something was missing, and I couldn't quite figure out what that was. And then I ran across this idea of consciousness and the way the brain operates and how people can be aware of their own processes going on inside themselves and in their environment and whatnot, and then stories of how various great teachers or yogis or the spiritual masters and the stories of shamans and all the different spiritual types and the various stories. I mean, it goes everything from being able to fly to being able to control your thoughts and your emotions and so on, and a full range of all the things that is supernatural and all this kind of stuff. It kind of intrigued me and got me interested in something out of the ordinary. And then I ended up through most of my life just helping others. That's part of what I did. I was good with tools and machines and vehicles and whatnot, so I ended up starting my own business as doing repairs, and so I would help people and help them with their issues with their various mechanical things. And part of that is I ended up hanging out with a group in California for several years as their community mechanic, and learning about the ins and outs of that community, that their particular teaching and so on. And from that, I went to other events in my life where I just ended up in a position where I was serving either a community of people, or in one case a company, and being of service with because I was good at what I did and so on, and that was the connector that connected me with others and whatnot. But now, in the last few years, that's changed quite a bit. Instead of being just connected with my hands on a local level by helping people directly in that manner, now I work in a much different and a larger realm, you could say, because now I'm involved with the activities of the Keshe Foundation, which is, number one, it's international, and there's no particular time which is involved with it, and it's a sort of it's in a flux in a way compared to an ordinary company that you might walk through the front doors and go to work every day behind a desk at the same time and place. Whereas with the Keshe Foundation, it's more or less a totally open place where you can, a virtual place where you can be, where you can serve others in any way that you are able and qualified and wish to, basically. If you have enough of a intention and desire, you can help others. And it doesn't take a lot of intention and desire, it just takes doing it more than anything else. So this is some of the things I've been learning over the years. I got involved with the Keshe Foundation because I was watching the videos of Mr. Keshe explaining that the 5 initial videos he put out, explaining the universe and how the electron worked and how the proton worked and so on. And I was intrigued. I thought it was great, but it was a little hard to hear some of the words, so I decided to transcribe. And through I decided to transcribe, and I got a hold of the webmaster and got the words to these videos put up on the videos, and eventually the translations and so on that followed that. But I decided to basically dedicate my life to transcribing, and I spent months at these videos transcribing. I'm not the fastest typist in the world, and that was my what I did in all my spare time, because I felt that this was very important to get this message out to the world. It seems to be really a true message. It seemed to resonate with that bell of truth that goes off inside of oneself when you encounter something that you know is correct, is got that truth behind it. And so I worked diligently getting these transcriptions up and started working with the webmaster at that time. That was, geez, I think that was like 6 years ago or something now, 5 or 6 years ago. And eventually just ended up doing little things and eventually interchanging with Mr. Keshe a few times. And then I kept going at this because I really felt that this was, I could see that this was the future, and I felt that this was very important and important to get it out, get the message out to the rest of the world, because the videos and the website wasn't getting all that much attention at the time. I thought it could have been a lot better and so on. So I worked toward that and got more and more involved. And the more involved you get, the more you can see and the more you can do in a way, because you're interacting with more and more people. And it's a snowball effect. And all of a sudden you find yourself where I am hosting videos and whatnot. And it's what a great adventure all this has been. There's been, I think back, there's many people and situations that have been learning experiences for me to help me to get to this point. And I'm in such extreme gratitude for, the dozens or more of people. And I can think back to some people, it's just a few words or just the way they are, that's enough of an influence to guide one to get a little closer to this, this Keshe Foundation thing that or this particular teaching that we find ourselves listening to and using in our lives and so on now. So at this point, everything's exploding even more for me personally and others around me and whatnot. And, I find myself, I've dropped off my friend Guy earlier tonight, and he's moving into this place, the 7-acre property, to be set up as a model property for the use of the plasma products, essentially. And it'll be a place where workshops can be held and where the public can meet, and it's it'll be a beautiful. The people involved are really behind it, and everything is going so smoothly in a way at this point that it's just hard to believe. It's almost as if, well, it's strange. We talked about instant communication and so on, and this one wasn't instant, but last year, about this time, or a bit earlier, so maybe almost a year and a half ago, I had a strong wish for creating this, Keshe Foundation in Canada, but it had to be like a pretty classy place in order to qualify. I was thinking, really big, big as I could think at the time. But it never manifested, even though I kept thinking. I was, checking out all the where places would be and all this kind of thing. And now recently, I didn't have to do any work, really. It just fell into my lap. Everything's flowing, and it doesn't have to be pushed. It doesn't have to be, and I'm not doing prayers on my knees every day to wish this to happen or anything. It just naturally happens from the intent and wish, because it needs to happen in order for other things to happen later, in order for peace to happen, and in order for us to get to space. All this kind of stuff, it's all interconnected. And as I'll give you an example of the way it becomes interconnected, I was visiting a farmer friend of mine a couple of days ago, And out of the blue, he just says, you know, I'm getting a different perspective these days. I'm starting to see, I don't know what, I was starting to see like the big picture, you know, the totality, the big picture. And I said, oh, really? Well, this is interesting, you know. And I've been talking to him about the Keshe Foundation and the products and the different, you know, how GANS is made and how he can use it on his farm and so on. And now he's suddenly got the big picture, and he's opening right up to this the plasma technology, and he has a different attitude. He's lost some of his intolerance of the past, and he's been sort of the crusader for righteousness now or something. And he's totally changing. Even his physical looks look different now. So I don't know exactly what's going on out there, but there's a lot of changes happening in the world, and it's very encouraging to see this, to see it reflected in the environment, in the world around me as I, you know, go through the world and so on. And I see that on many levels, right from the, you know, people serving coffee at the cafe to, you know, someone you might just meet by accident somewhere in town or whatever. It's there's something different going on. People are becoming more aware of themselves and more maybe compassionate for others, and there's a different mood that seems to be kicking in the world. Anyway, I don't know if I might have gone on too long there and got a bit far astray, but so be it.
Rick,
hello.
Rick, do you recall from your parents or your grandparents that they maybe have directed you on this path somehow?
Oh yeah, very much so. I've been thinking about that quite a bit lately, actually, because I had my sister visited. I haven't seen her for a couple of years, and she just visited a few days ago, and so that brings up memories and so on. And also, I had my stepson visit a couple of weeks before that. So, and I haven't had much, you know, family stuff happening in the last year or so, and so this is a bit unusual. And yes, my the way my parents brought me up and so on is quite critical for sure. I remember when I was young going to having to go to Sunday school, and I was a bit of a rebel in Sunday school because I couldn't figure out how this person, Jesus, how could they know so much about him when there was a different language back then, and the books all change all the time, and there was all this stuff going through my head, my wee little head when I was, yeah, I think it would have been probably 5 years old or 6 years old or something like that, maybe 7. And I ended up being a bit of a rebel in the Sunday school, and I probably worded it back to my parents or something, and they were not too happy with some of the things going on in that particular church and so on too. So basically they left that church and became Unitarians. The Unitarian church is kind of interesting because I remember as going to church, and most often we would go and visit other churches, and one of the things we would do as kids in the Unitarian church to get an understanding and tolerance for other religions, other ways of thought, and so on. Unitarian is kind of an all-inclusive, anyone of any religion can join sort of thing. And that helped a lot, I think, in forming my childhood and forming my, just being more tolerant and open to new ideas and that kind of thing. And I never, I wasn't a devout Unitarian and don't go to church or that sort of thing nowadays. I have a lot of respect for that particular lineage, like to have a lot of respect for the Baha'i faith and other faiths that have some degree of truth that you can discern from them, without all the ritual and whatnot that can sort of overlay on that. So yeah, my parents instilled in me this a certain sense of you know, truth, honesty, and other qualities like that, I guess you might say, that were sort of built into the way they were, and the kind of life that they had. We had a relatively simple life and not much, you know, not a lot of money, let's say, compared to some, but we had enough to get by, and my parents worked hard to get there and whatnot. My grandfather, on the other hand, he was a banker, actually. And I was telling my, that's kind of funny, I was telling Guy earlier today, I was thinking about this, but my grandfather and my father grew up on a lake called Lake Utopia. And my grandfather, and well, my father too, had grown up and moved and grown up to this a town called St. George, and it was close to two other saints, St. Stephen and St. Andrews, which are other towns nearby. And I was born in the city of St. John. So there's all these saint names involved with where my family lived, strangely enough. And so anyways, that we all moved to St. John eventually, and that's part of my upbringing. It was, how can I say, I don't know, I guess I rebelled a bit against grandfather and grandmother and sort of the stuffy banker image and so on. And so did my father in a way. He became a teacher rather than a banker. And my mother was a teacher and a nurse rather than, you know, a bank teller or something like that. So, and the banker part didn't skip one generation, it skipped two generations in my case too. So there was a bit of a break, I would say, from the tradition in both my father's generation and my generation. And if you go back to my father's generation, I mean, in a way, part of why I'm so for peace is because my father was for peace. I remember him putting together this little model of the United Nations with all the flags of all the nations on this little model, for example, when I was younger. And the thing is, the reason why he was for peace is because he went through World War II. And not only he went through World War II, but he was actually a bombardier on the largest bomber plane, the Lancaster, you know, 4-engine bomber with tons of bombs on bombing missions, bombing Germany at that time. So, and he would have gone on more than a dozen, I think it was 15 sorties or whatever. Each time they go out, about half of the planes would be shot down. So he's very fortunate to have even made it through the number that he did. But the thing about it, his job was to drop bombs during World War II and cause enormous destruction and no doubt lots of loss of life as well. So, and then, but after the war, he was the most peaceful person you can imagine. He was, you know, totally for world peace and for you know, he led a peaceful life and was known for his patience and peace and whatnot. So in a way, I feel like I'm trying to pay back for that act, which was, you know, no doubt everyone felt it was necessary at that time and so on. But on the other hand, it's this enormous destruction that's wrought at the same time, and it doesn't seem like a correct way to continue on an everyday basis. So that's definitely ties into things, and I was thinking about that a fair amount recently. Any questions about that? Am I going too far astray here? Is that sort of what you meant, Caroline? That you keep coming back to family structure, and to me, it's almost. I know that there's people that have studied family structure a lot in their, you know, schooling or in their spare time or whatever, and maybe you could talk more about that as to how that manifests and what kind of things do you mean when you talk about how family structures affect how we are and so on?
Because I came to understand, if you can go back to your root from the family lines you're coming from, you can come to understand and analyze your purpose, why you came into this existence, because you still had the decision right to be here, as you have the right as a soul to accept, because you get a full preview of what's about to indulge you or embrace you or will warm over you. And as a soul, you can decide at any point or to descend and take this physical body as a vessel to go through this process, or you can refuse and return. So some people never understood if they have lost a firstborn child or a second or in early pregnancy. This is one of the assets or explanations of Mr. Keshe for a lot of mothers which are tormented by loss of life, their children, their flesh, their blood, their creation, their love. To understand, as I came to understand, because I lost my firstborn at 6.5 months. It took years. She would have been about 35. And I never understood. I could understand, but I was looking because I only could understand the physical part. My womb was maturing too fast. So she was born, she was alive, but she was only there for a couple of minutes. And then so many years back, even up till today, the doctors will not give you the exact explanation or the correct, because they haven't understood yet. But through the teachings of Mr. Keshe, I came to understand that she was not willing to take, or could not. That's her decision. That was not my decision. She was more than welcome. More than welcome. I adored her from the minute she was in my belly, and I adored her from the minute she was born. I kept her for a very long time with me to be with her, although it was very painful. But somewhere in the back of my head, I accepted, but couldn't fully understand. And when Mr. Keshe did the explanation about this, then it revealed to me the correctness of the how and the why and why it happened. My life didn't go easy, and my life hasn't become easy. So she had the freedom to accept or not to accept. When I heard that teaching, it opened a lot of insight and a lot of relief that I didn't do anything wrong. I didn't have to take no blame, because somewhere always you think, what have I done wrong? Because it was my first one. What could I done to prevent it? What the heck was going on? Why? She was perfect. She had the weight, she had the shape, she was complete. Only the lungs were not developed because they had no time to mature to do the switch. But with that explanation and that teaching, it revealed a lot, and I became very peaceful with it. And I wish her all the best, and I thanked her for being in my life, even that was for such a short time. I don't grieve for her. I'm glad that she positioned herself not to go through the full process to become, as she would be, a lady now next to me, or a young woman, or married, or having her own children. One day I will be able to communicate with her and understand more and better. She will cross my path, or we will meet. So it is very important through the knowledge and the teachings to understand the physicality and the path of the soul.
Wo sind meine Socken?
What? Hello?
That was just Klaus's microphone was open. I muted him.
Ah, okay. So it is very important to know your own path, the path of the souls which are walking the path with you. To go and sit still for a minute and reflect, because these topics are coming on the surface, to look back and see what was the interaction, how was the interaction between my parents, what did I take and extracted the best part of it, and what was my decision to change the position they were functioning, how did I apply it into my life, and what are you still struggling with, or what you have changed completely, that it doesn't become a repeat of the past because of the maturity of understanding, to look back and see, because they were your teachers, they were your guidelines. And this came so beautiful forward at the beginning of this presentation. They show the path for a lot. My dad and my mom, I cannot say enough gratitude. Doesn't matter in which shape or form, how they run their lives, and I was part of it. I've learned so much from each of their own level of understanding in the path they were, and what they received from their parents, which I could overview because my grandparents lived a very long life. They all became into their 90s. So I had a full overview because we reached to the point of, as we say, the 5 generations, but all through girls. So I was the 5th. So that shows a family history which was still alive and was still within each other's fields. And I know how the grandparents came through the First War and then the second one again through the Second World War, and then my parents as war children, and then me seeing with the knowledge I have now, looking back, how rich our lives came from when our parents reached the age of about 25, 30, when all this knowledge started coming in and the developments and the washing machines and televisions and radios and God knows what. And it just kept on speeding and speeding and speeding up. And then the intelligent level among all, which was increasing so fast, that I really look at our first children. This is amazing when I compare them to what they carry on knowledge on what we were children, and then to the knowledge of my parents were carrying. My God, you go in a more than a 3-fold of multiplication of the amount of the development which has happened in such a short time. It's a boost beyond. Nobody should even complain about anything because we have really gone through a swirl of change and comfort. Nobody stands still today. What a comfortable, most of us at least, we are in a very comfortable position because we need it. We need it because we had to have access to all this knowledge. Otherwise, we could have never reached. Just 1 second. Otherwise, you're going to go there. Yes, our little mascot, Mr. Topoli, makes a lot of noise sometimes. So yes, it is important to know how you came to the position where you are, but what led you to this position. Because then when you look back, you come to understand so much that it was guided for you to be here, but to understand why you're here. As so many said, Mr. Keshe said, you know, you think you chose to be here. This, the way I try to explain to you, opens the doors and the windows for you to see the path, who and how and where guided you to be here. It is very important because you will increase your level when you look back and express your gratitude because they made sure you landed to this point. And I learned this from somebody else. I didn't stood still the moment it was explained to me. And they said, if your family wouldn't have been in the position that they created this path, how would you have been able to be far away from them and be doing what you're doing every day? And I said, I never looked at it that way. So maybe for you, I can open the door for you to look back, to understand how did you end up to where you are now, listening, learning, sharing, giving, because it makes your path so much more to understand what more you can do with it. That you haven't lost no time. You have been shaped and formed and, you know, like a dough to make a bread or a clay to become porcelain, to shine. That's what they have done. And this is what you have chosen for to be here. And all the things which are connected with it, even through the process of, as I explained, losing a child shapes you. It gives you that you can someday, some point, support somebody else with, because you understand the feeling, you understand the pain. Maybe a lot of mothers now will go more easier when they have lost a child or they have gone through this experience. That it wasn't them, it was the soul which they prepared the path for it to be received, that the soul has the right and fully independent that it can make the path or it can turn the path around. Not to walk with the burdens of guilt or not knowing if they have done something or not something wrong. No. And this is for the mothers and also for the fathers, because they both suffer when you lose something so precious and you have no understanding what's going on. Now it can maybe ease your pain and revert your thinking in a different process, which can release so much, and you can start giving to the soul, but in gratitude that it passed your life to give you that experience, and now that you came to understand why. Which then goes back to Mr. Keshe. Thank you for explaining. And explaining so much in so many details for us to understand the importance where we come from, who our teachers were, who were guiding us as souls, because we are all working as one, but through experience. Otherwise, how can you express yourself? How can I tell you how strawberry tastes if I never put it in my mouth? And I don't feel the little seeds in my mouth and the sugar, and if they're mature enough and from which harvest they're coming. And if they're good to make jam or just to dip into sugar, or they're sweet enough to be eaten only by themselves. How can you explain this is the same journey of life? So, no matter what path you walked, painful ups and downs, you were meant to be here, you chose to be here, and this is what you created to be here. So trust your path, because it brought you exactly where you from the beginning were supposed to be. Then the mystery when Mr. Keshe says, you think you are here just for the sake of being here? No. Maybe now you can come understand more and more. You created the path. You chose to be here among us, with us, to do this process, to balance a whole planet. Can you imagine how beautiful you are? To participate in such a big event. That's why there are so many UFO sites. They start coming more and more, expressing themselves. We are here. They're all here because we are going to go through a new birth process of peace. And they know it, and we will achieve it. Because we paid ahead. They have, all the souls have been working to come to this point, at this position, with this planet, with whatever you can imagine which is connected. We have created all together this position. So we can't fail. We won't. It just needs to materialize. By the acknowledgement, I am part of it. I did this work too, but at the same time, the acknowledgement from your parents, grandparents, friends, whatever, who brought you to this path, helping you to get to this path, to say thank you. And all the experiences which go with it. Otherwise, you wouldn't have never been able to make it, to become so solid. So yes, Rick, it is extremely important to turn around, to look back, to look sideways and say thank you. Because at the end, we all ignited this path. Not knowing, not being aware, but we are. And if we can help support the ones which are using us to correct the path, as you, that he was a pilot and he was dropping bombs and costing so many lives, I would say thank you for such a big correction path, because you're in their position for what they brought in that time. So yes, I can serve and I can remove a lot of corrections from my parents, my great-grandparents, how far I even can go back, because I have all the tools through the knowledge to do so. Before they said, pray for your soul, for your children before they're born, or when somebody dies, that's the only time when people start praying or giving. Now we don't need to anymore. Because with your positioning, the way you have become a giver, you have become a light, you are igniting their lights as well. Because you increase their level of their soul too. And this is the beauty of it. Because you're part of their creation, so you're connected. So automatically you elevate their souls too. So it's not only the souls which are here in the walking, living vessels, the physicality, which are going to get touched. That's why I was trying to explain how important it is to go back. What you learned from your parents and your grandparents, because if you look back, you elevate their souls too, in gratitude. So they get repositioned as well. So they become and go to a higher level as well. So they will be able to support you back with your energy level. So we are all interconnected. It's just a matter of increasing the light, the soul level. Now you see the connection with where you came from, why it is so important to look back, where it needs to be forgiven, where it needs to be given, where it needs to serve gratitude. But I think gratitude is the biggest one, because we can't change the past. But gratitude is in full respect of thank you, because without you, I would not be here in the position to bring the change. So I am very honored that I can stand here and bring the change, not only for my family line or bloodline, but I can touch and maybe reach you and so many others, so I can pay in advance, I can pay forward to even to change the souls of my children and my grandchildren and the future of whoever will come. Because I make sure the path of them, I pay forward, if you understand. Can anybody add to this, please? Or any question? Hello,
Hello.
Paul?
Hello.
Go ahead,
Can
Paul.
you hear me?
Yes, Paul.
Okay, thank you. So, I want to add my part of gratitude to all the persons who have contributed in my life. And for that, my first gratitude go to my grandmother, because she have bring a lot of to me, and I have a very close relationship with my grandmother. And the history is interesting. My grandmother died at 162 years. And when she get 140 years, she become blind. And she was saying that she waits for someone before death. And the day I was born was the day my grandmother died. But before she died, something happened. I was born in the morning, and they told to my grandmother that I was born. And she said that it was the children that she was waiting for. And then she took me, go in his room. I don't know what she have done. And then bring me back and give me my name. And the same day, 3 o'clock evening, she died. And then from there, I never see her in my life physically. Only the day I was born, this day she gave me name. She took me in his hands and then died at 3 o'clock. And when I get 12 years, and my father sent me to go and take something in the room. And the room he sent me to take the things was the room of my grandmother. And something specially happened this day. When I go in the room, I opened the door. I saw my grandmother sitting with 2 children. And then she gave me these 2 children. One was in right hand, and another one was in the left hand. So she gave me the 2 children at the same moment. And I take my hand to get the children, but I didn't get the children. But what I get was, it was very shake energy, like sun, which have been transmitted from my grandmother to me. And then the 2 children disappear. So the children, I can say, was transformed in the light and then go inside to me. And at the moment this was finished, I fall down. And the rest of my family, my father, come in the room, took me. I don't know what they done. And I wake up 3 days after. But at this moment, between these 3 days, I was living in the big light like sun. And it was like a game. He was playing with the games of life. They asked me what happened, and then I report to my father what happened. I say, I see someone who gave me 2 children, but it was one old woman. And my father, when I finished, I say, it looked like my grandmother. And then my father go in his room and say, it was this woman. I say, yes, exactly her. And my father said, this is your grandmother. So since this day, in my process of education, I every time being in connection, I am connected to her. And from this day, a lot of things happening with me. The sky was open for me. So my gratitude to her, because she has brought a lot of in my life. And my gratitude to my father for what he have done in my education part. And my gratitude to Mr. Keshe and all knowledge seeker for all enlightenment you bring in my life. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing. The more people come forward to share, the more we all will get triggered to view our path, why the understanding is there, why we are here today with each other in this present moment. It's like opening small little doors which you never even thought that they existed, to open them up. So please, I welcome anyone who can come and share more.
Caroline, we're getting close to the break point here, but there is someone that has their hand up, Estella, who is coming from the live stream conversation, and she got into the Zoom here and wanted to speak. She spoke before, I think, a workshop or 2 ago, so perhaps I'll promote her and see what she has to say.
Yes, why not?
So we have about 3 minutes left here before we normally take a break. Estella, are you there? I don't know if it got promoted. Let me try it again. It didn't go through. Try it again there. Stella Love is her last name, apparently. Do you want to unmute your microphone and you can speak?
Can you hear me?
Yes, hello.
Hello. My name is Estela Bilbao Love. I'm from Argentina, but I studied architecture. I graduated a long time ago, and I met my husband, and because by love I decided to come here. And his last name is Love. That's why it's the Love last name. So I spoke in the last meeting last week, and I've been thinking a lot about peace. And actually I started that day, a peace training, commitment, 24/7 until the August 3rd. That was my date, and I've been thinking a lot about the meaning of peace and what does it mean and how to embrace it, and the connection to the plasmas, and listening to the conversation about gratitude, fear, self-love, forgiveness, allowance. I think life is a journey, and I'm very grateful that I was able to discern all my experiences, good and bad ones, and be able to stand and see the positive of each experience, and allowance something that maybe wasn't feel really good, but allowed for me to see the learning experience. And it took my life to reach this point. I had a lot of bad experiences, and 2014 I lost my job because not for problems with my son, stress, and we basically escaped the city, and I manifest this house where I live right now. I have a 5-acre. I live in the mountains, and we start to live my husband, my son, my daughter, and my daughter's boyfriend. And I learned to connect to nature. At the same time, I was very grateful to follow all the workshops and learn about plasma. I'm a lighting designer. I've been learning energy since I was young because I was attracted to all that Tai Chi, yoga, Zen. I learned energy through architecture, through lighting. And standing right now with this piece of, I call it it's the biggest challenge, because we don't realize that our brain is being trained to always have fear, always doubt about ourselves, always, it's very hard to be in gratitude and be in center, and because our planet is sick. So I came up with this idea of doing this serious piece, standing like a standing plasma wave, and ask to everybody in the cache to take this as a plasma way of peace, where we are the plasma peace, and being aware and conscious in the moment, standing in the heart, because when we are in the heart, we're not thinking and we're not engaging, and whatever happened in front of us, could be a conversation, could be a situation, we should be with this gratitude and allowance, and not to engage and stay in the peace. And that's regarding, I know I only have 3 minutes, so. And regarding my family, I have gratitude because they gave me the core foundation of my integrity, to try to always do the right thing, to give me the essence of always look at the sun, how this gentleman talked, because it's still is the feeling of being alive and being happy and being, with that gratitude, is being on this earth. And also my family, we travel a lot, so I'm a person who's been, different places, and when you go to other countries, I was able to show the gratitude of being in a foreigner country, see the people, the food, the culture, and appreciate that. And I never had that sense of, because a person is in this way and in that way, judge. It was on the contrary. They showed me like it's good to share other cultures. And so I think that's very important because it gave me that flexibility and openness to new things and to go for. That's why probably I'm the only one here in this country alone, and I was able to do this journey with my husband, and I think that was it. But yeah, that's I think that's plenty. Are you guys there?
Yep, we're still here. Thank you very much. And if there's more, then we can continue with the afternoon session, and you can add more there if you like.
Okay.
When are we coming back? Thank you very much.
It'd be in 1 hour at 2 p.m. CEST time. So
in 1 hour, get enough coffee, Rick.
It's about enough time to make coffee here. Okay. If that's good, let's do that. Then we'll take a break and come back in approximately an hour for the afternoon session. Okay, this has been the Blueprint for Peace for Humanity, Day 14, the morning session for Monday, July 24th, 2017. Thank you, everybody. If there's any questions that didn't get answered or anyone who didn't get to speak, well, we have the afternoon session and I'm sure we can get you in there. Okay, let me end the live stream.